I'm guessing you don't mean that.
What's that?
I'm guessing you don't mean that.
Don't know. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree?
Do you agree?
Agree with the statement or disagree?
I'm just making sure I read it right. No, I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with it? So, like, if somebody was beating up a dog,
That's pretty
bad. Fox hunting,
That's bad.
bullfighting,
Yeah, that's all bad.
all those things you think are bad.
Yeah.
What about sending animals to a slaughterhouse to have their throat cut to be turned into a burger?
I think that's different in that there's food coming out of it.
Yeah, but it's unnecessary harm. And why then, if there's no necessity, and no judgment by the way,
No.
that's exactly why I'm here.
Yeah.
So, if there was necessity involved, there's no argument. If you have to eat animals to survive, then the argument is gone. You have to do it. It's like a carnivore a lion has to kill a deer, an antelope or a deer or whatever to survive.
Yeah.
Human beings don't have to. I haven't eaten animal products in over 30 years, so you can survive and thrive on a vegan diet.
Yeah.
Well then, the only justification that people can come up with is taste, which is pleasure. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a new perspective on it.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who are adamantly vegan.
Yeah.
They've
Well,
never-
I'm adamantly vegan too.
They've
I'm
come
also
at-
an animal rights activist.
Yeah, they haven't come at it from that angle.
Yeah.
That's a new angle.
What do you think?
That's a good angle. Yeah.
You know, I stopped eating animal products, all of them, when I was 19 years old. I'm nearly 55 now. The science says not only can you survive on it, you can thrive on it. Eating animal products is bad for you for the most part. You get saturated fat, cholesterol, antibiotics. And okay, you get some essential nutrients from it, like protein and calcium, but you can also get those things from plants easily.
I think
So you're brought up to believe it's normal and it's needed and it's necessary, and it's none of those things. So it's the story you're told when you're young. It's the perspective.
I'm pretty aware of the not necessity of it.
Yeah. And like when you can go into McDonald's now and buy the McPlant burger for the same price, or you can go to KFC and buy vegan chicken nuggets or a vegan burger. And Burger King have, all these places. Nero have vegan options. Everywhere has vegan options. Tesco's is over there. Where is it? Down there somewhere.
Tesco's is gone now.
Well, most Tesco stores, all the big stores have like 5 or 6 sections of vegan food. And I get it. You're doing something for a lifetime and it seems like a big massive change to people. And like, I don't really want to do that. But when you look at it, the way I look at it is from the victim's perspective. And I've been to slaughterhouses and seen everything from start to finish. And the animals are terrified, man. They're terrified. They're brutalised. You're told the story of humane slaughter. Well, there's no humane way to kill somebody. Humane means benevolence, to be kind to someone. Slaughter is to kill somebody in a violent fashion.
Yeah.
So that's an oxymoron. Doesn't make any sense when you think about it. So if you can make the kind option and somebody doesn't have to be shot in the head and have the throat cut, to me that's a no-brainer. Even if you don't love animals, it's still an injustice to take somebody's life away from them, and that's the only thing they possess.
Yeah.
What do you think?
To be honest, I guess, yeah, that's all true.
It's hard to argue with, isn't it, when you hear it like that?
It is hard to argue.
And that's not me blowing my own trumpet, by the way. It's just arguments that I've learned over the years and doing activism and talking to people and stuff. And when you take away the necessity, and there isn't any necessity. Maybe some tribal person living in deepest Africa has to kill an animal to survive.
Yeah.
None of us have to do that. We can buy plant-based options. Shit, we don't even need the plant-based options. We can just eat plants. You can make curry with no chicken in it and put in sweet potatoes or lentils and stuff, and it still tastes amazing. And vegan lasagna, vegan pizza, whatever you want,
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Like I say, I have a lot of friends who are adamantly vegan. A lot of the time I actually get a little frustrated at the fact that there aren't. I'm preaching to the choir here.
No,
when you're out,
man, there's no stupid questions, or say whatever you want. I'm not gonna.
When you go out somewhere and you're having food with your friends and you're going through a menu, you're like everything has to have a meat in it.
Yeah. Almost everywhere. When you see McDonald's doing a vegan option, things are changing.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about fast food necessarily, but I was in London 3 years ago when we protested the Burger King store in Leicester Square. It's a flagship store in the UK. I was back over in April and the whole store was completely vegan. vegan for a month, and it was packed every night. Every restaurant has a vegan option, and if they don't, they will veganise an option for you if you ask for it. It's just a matter of ringing ahead or looking at the menu ahead, and almost everywhere. I mean, they'd be cutting out a slice of their market now if they don't. There's so many vegans around now, so they'll all provide something. And if they don't, you can just go somewhere else and pick somewhere that does.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to Tasty Birds right now, the wee restaurant just off Corn Market. They have a whole vegan menu of pizzas and lasagna. They have a pasta, what do you call that? Like a creamy cheese sauce pasta, garlic breads, calzone, whatever you want, you know. So if somewhere like that's doing,
Yeah.
it's not as hard as you think.
I think a lot of folks aren't aware of how delicious totally vegan food.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
I've seen people
what do you
eating
eat? Grass and tofu. Well, no.
Yeah, it's not like that. I've seen people have a vegan meal and be like, oh my god, this is actually really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been at weddings and
Vegetables
stuff,
are
or
good.
on an airplane, and you get a vegan option, and people are like, oh, what are you getting? And
gotta go, I'm getting
I'm going to give you a card before you go. Yeah, you see the top one on that wee card there? It's a free speech on YouTube. It's about 40 minutes long. A guy called Gary Yourofsky, Jewish guy doing lectures in America. Sounds as boring as fuck. Somebody sent it to me, I was like, aye, dead on. Man, 5 minutes in, I was like, I can't argue. That's where I learned my stuff from, that guy.
When did you first get that angle of like, because your
This one here?
initial line of inquiry was good because you just took me to the pleasure
This,
of the taste of meat.
well, I have all sorts of signs and I'm here all the time, but this one's kind of reverse psychology because I genuinely believe that most people are against animal abuse.
Yeah.
And they don't see what happens to animals in slaughterhouses as abuse because they see it as a necessary thing. But if it's not necessary, then it is abuse, really. You're abusing somebody and you're taking their life away from them when you simply don't need to. And that's the only thing animals have. It's their one possession in this life. Farmed animals is their life. And somehow we manage to steal that from them as well, you know. There's no animals running around committing suicide. Animals don't want to die. I see them coming into the slaughterhouses and they're, particularly pigs, man, are fucking terrified. Do you know how we kill pigs in this country?
I don't. Although I have a friend who used to work at Humane Park and he said that the people that worked at the slaughterhouse were visibly damaged by...
They're damaged, yeah. Yeah, higher rates of suicide and all sorts of things and injuries and stuff. It's the worst industry in the world. Nobody would really want, unless you're a psychopath, why the hell would you want to work in there? But pigs we throw them in gas chambers. There's one 2 miles from my house called Cranswick and there's one in Cookstown called Carroll Foods. Between them they're gassing about 7,000 pigs every day.
Do they use like argon or carbon dioxide or something?
Carbon dioxide, yeah. And that's not like going to the dentist and falling asleep, man. I've stood and watched it. They suffer terribly. It's like suffocating to death.
Yeah.
Well, they're not actually dead when they come out. They suffocate them for about a minute and a half. They thrash around. They're fucked and terrified. See the ones that are waiting to go in? Because pigs are the fourth most intelligent animal. They've figured it out from the minute they arrive.
Yeah, they know what's going on.
They know what's happening. See the ones that are waiting to go in? You should see the terror in those animals, man. It is so upsetting. I'm nearly crying now talking about it. It's so upsetting. They drop them down into the carbon dioxide gas chamber. They thrash around. Man, I've seen them pull their legs off and all sorts of stuff to try and get out, like you would. Panic and fear.
Yeah.
Then they roll out the bottom and that's them stunned long enough that somebody can put a shackle around their leg. They have to be alive because pigs get bled out. So the heart has to be beating. So they're unconscious. Carbon dioxide is a real cheap, dirty, aversive gas. It burns them too from the inside out, so they get like an acid burn in their esophagus and throat while they're suffocating.
Yeah, actually right enough because whenever carbon dioxide builds up in your body, you get like that horrible fatigue feeling when you're running
it's
for
fucking horrible, man. So they come out the bottom stunned, shackle around one of their legs, hung upside down. It's usually about a minute or 2 minutes later. By that point, they're conscious again, and you can see them thrashing around and choking in their own blood, man. It's absolutely disgusting. If it was dogs, people would be up in arms about it. The pigs, if you interact with them, are almost exactly like dogs in every way. They're quick to learn, they're funny, they've got their own personalities, and we just throw them in the gas chambers for a bacon sandwich when you can just buy a plant-based. I mean, the plant-based bacons now are really good. You get 3 different times. Denny's are doing a plant-based bacon. There's a Yes in a white packet. It's delicious. It's really, really, really good. I mean, it's just a matter of going in the supermarket and having a different mindset and okay, I don't I was going to buy bacon or milk, I don't want an animal to suffer.
Yeah.
And you just turn around and pick up the vegan option instead. In fact, most of them are at the end of the meat aisles now because there's so many people buying them. And it's growing all the time. So, give that wee speech a watch, man. Okay. I swear to you, it's the most powerful thing you'll ever watch in your life. It's not the sort of thing you're going to watch on a Saturday night with a couple of beers.
I'll not watch it tonight.
But it's not.
I've had an emotionally intense day.
Yeah, I get it.
Maybe leave it for another time.
I get it, but it's not heavy.
Yeah.
He's just breaking it down the way I am, only in a much better way. He's just a great speaker. I couldn't argue with a word of it, man. It was the most powerful thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
And at the end of it, I just think, I guess I'm vegan now, so. Appreciate you stopping, man. What's your name?
Rory.
What's that? And check out the other wee links as well. You can see the damage animal agriculture is doing to the environment.
Well, yeah,
to the oceans.
That honestly, like, that was probably one of the main reasons that I started to really cut back on eating meat.
Yeah.
I don't eat as anywhere near as much as I used to.
And I get that. I'm going over to the Extinction Rebellion in 2 weeks' time, and it's more focused on the environment. I come at it from the ethical point of view that I don't want animals to suffer. But I get there's other related interests, human health and the environment as well. I mean, man, we are absolutely trashing this planet. Trashing it. And people don't even realise, like, Ireland is destroyed now. People think we have this great countryside. When's the last time you flew? Recently? Sometime in the last few years. And you look down, you see the green fields, and it looks like a jigsaw puzzle. Ireland 250 years ago was 80% forest.
Man, I know all about this.
So they have decimated the forests to create fields. There's not even any crops anymore. It's all grass and silage for sheep and cows. So that's another injustice that I'm against. I mean, I tend to be against all injustice. My heart lies with the animals more than any of them. But I'd be very much for LGBT and black rights and all that stuff. But the animal rights is the one, they don't have anybody to speak for them.
No.
Or very few people. And it lies very close to my heart. But all those things, I mean, this people think we have this great lush countryside, and it's just a facade of what the countryside actually should look like.
Actually, yeah, an industrial countryside.
Yeah. For farming animals. You know, the animals will stay in during the winter time, the fields sit bare, and then they bring them out in the summertime and eat grass, and then they pull in the silage to feed them in the winter, and it's just this big cycle of, like, how many fields of crops do you see now? Still field of potatoes and the old
That many?
When I was young, I'm probably a good bit older than you. What age are you?
30.
I thought that. I'm 55 almost. When I was young, around the countryside where I lived, there was fields of crops all over the place, wheat and barley and all sorts of stuff. It's not looking at it anymore.
You should tell people you're 55 more. That'd be good for the vegan agenda.
The meat, dairy and egg industry.
Like, you'll be looking this good when you're 55 and stop eating meat.
You know, I firmly believe in the health benefits of it too.
Fair enough.
Saturated fat and cholesterol do not exist in animal products or in plant-based products. So those are two really bad things. Major cause of heart disease. Hello. I've hijacked your partner. So it's health and it's environment, but it's mainly for the animals for me. I appreciate you stopping, man. Rory, yeah? What's your partner's name?
It's Claire.
Claire. You can tell her I told you.
She doesn't need told.
Yeah.
She's also an adamant vegan.
You're vegan? Yes. That's why I'm here. Anyway, man, check that speech out sometime. Have a great day, folks.